Hello! You are listening to Talking Utter Slot, the podcast for those who enjoy racing and collecting Skeletrix type slot cars. Welcome to episode 11 of Talking Utter Slot with me, Scott, and my partner in 132nd scale crime,
Pedro.
In this episode, we'll be talking about what's caught our eye in the slot news, the return of full-size magna-traction racing, or as some call it Formula 1, and hand controllers. Just how many knobs do you need? Well, Pedro, I've had a good week. I got a tax return, which meant which cheers anybody up. But the significance is it meant I could afford some new slot cars. But we'll come back to those. What's caught your eye this week?
What's caught my eye this week? What's come through my letterbox is not a tax return. But when we were talking earlier, I said that the postie had arrived, and I did run to it thinking, premium bonds, but that was last week. But I've got some decals from Slot Fabric, which makes me very happy. I mean, you've got a tax return, obviously, money in the back pocket. You win, but I've got some decals. So I'm happy as Larry with that. Very quick service, just a little plug for Slot Fabric. Not a sponsor. Never will be.
No, to be fair, no one is.
Who would? But yeah, got a set of decals through, which is always exciting. Now I've just got to test fit the body, strip off all the flash, prime it, wash it, prime it, paint it, put some varnish glossy coat over it, then put all those fiddly little decals on, then put more clicker over the top, and then I'm there. So yeah, tomorrow.
You've missed one fairly important detail.
Oh my God, what did I miss out?
Decals for what? What car are we talking about?
Oh, big secret. It's for a sideways Bentley Continental, Conti, to those who know, GT3 racer, and I've gone for the. I think it was. They seem to vary the number of hours they go round and round at Kyalami. I'm pretty sure this year it was I'm gonna get it wrong. This year it's probably 8 hours. My decals are for the 9 hours, which I think was 2020.
No, it was 9 hours this year. It just seemed a lot longer because there weren't many
cars. Yeah, we discussed that, didn't we?
Yeah, but no, it was the 9 hours. Okay, so and why? So tell us why you particularly wanted to livery up a Bentley. Why not just get one of the ones that Sideways have done from the factory, as it were?
Well, they have a thing of they release the white kits quite a bit before they actually punt out any factory painted stuff. And so if you're itching to scratch the Bentley Continental itch, why wait? Plus, there's the fun of doing it. I mean, I've gone wrong in so many ways. Let's not talk about my life. Let's just talk about slot cars. I've gone wrong, and I've got so many projects on the go and so many projects backed up. It's ridiculous, and it is worrying, frankly. If I snuff it today, my kids are going to go, why has he got all these kits? I'm not as bad as some people. I don't buy kits purely to have them sit on the shelf. I buy kits, I have them sit on the shelf, and then eventually I turn them into cars. But I think I've got something like 5 or 6 124ths. I had a mad binge on eBay last year and set myself up with some 124ths, which have yet to be made. I've got, let's see, there's 2 Sideways Huracans that are partly done. One of them predates COVID. There's the Bentley. There's the Lexus. There's the Aston. There's 2 M6s, and that's it for Sideways because I refuse to have any truck with the Ford.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I can send you some livery ideas for the Lexus because I made a whole load of them. Liveries, that is, on Gran Turismo.
I know, but that doesn't equate to water slides. I need water slides. Can you do that for me?
No,
I don't have a printer that will do that.
If I could do that, then I would probably do it. But that sort of witchcraft and wizardry is beyond me. But I'm sure there's some craftsmen out there who'll do it.
If next week, when we record this, if we manage to make it that far, if I don't snuff it today, hopefully what will come through my letterbox will be another set of decals, but this time not from, is he in Slovakia? I think he's in Slovakia. But from, oh, no, I've done that thing of starting talking and then realizing what I'm saying is wrong. I thought I'd ordered some from Atalaya, but actually I think there are another lot coming from the east of Europe. MTR. I've got some coming from MTR. MTR
Ah,
32.
MTR
Milan
30.
Tomsek, I think his name is.
Yes. I have
Does some.
five cars made by him many years
I was
ago.
going to say he does some very nice
Hmm.
cars, doesn't he? He does wicked
I
chassis.
have
Is that right?
well, I don't. I mean, yeah, they're all handmade and all that. They're all different. I mean, I've they've been and the boxes are handmade. I cherish
The
mine. The
boxes.
boxes that mine came are all made by him.
Let's not go there with boxes.
Beautiful. When you come to visit, I'll let you look at them. But anyway,
Okay, handmade boxes though. I'm confused and slightly angry. I just don't care about the boxes.
well, wait till you see them. I think there's a certain artisan
Oh,
charm.
what you're suggesting? I'm going to have an epiphany.
Well,
Before we go on to what else? Oh, he said bangs his microphone. Before we go on, just tell me the chassis on his stuff. They're like bespoke as well, aren't they?
they
They're
are.
good.
They are. Yes. I
Okay,
can't see whether
well,
they're good
there's
or
an
not.
incentive.
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges I took the last time I ran them, I took them all the way to Switzerland to go and run on Swiss Racers Club track, and which we did. I mean, some of them the tires are very dry, but they ran. A couple of them are sort of seized basically, so the gearing and I'm too scared to really do anything about it. So I need to put some releasing agent into the various bearings and stuff and hope that does the trick. But
Hellfire. That sounds like proper. Like the tolerances are minuscule and it needs proper maintenance.
well, yeah, they don't get used very much. I mean, I bought them because they were nice things, and I would take them to the club and run them without racing them because they don't fit into anything. But that was 15 years
But you
ago.
haven't told us what the them are.
Oh, there's a so the Le Mans Supra, the Le Mans MR2, uh, Group C Toyotas.
Hang on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The Le Mans MR2. You mean the MC8
That one, yes,
MC8?
yeah.
I followed that dude on Instagram. The guy who owns the only road-going
Mm.
MCR8. It's a very pretty car. I like that.
We're pretty stretching it, but it's unusual. Let's put it that way.
No, 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 no. Well, it's pretty in a Testarossa style, and I don't like the Testarossa, but I do like the. Is it MC8? MCR8?
It's something like that. Yeah, I can't remember why the
Yeah.
designation is that way, but it's wonderfully bat crazy Le
Wonderfully.
Mans car,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is kind of what I like about Le Mans. And you don't really get anymore. Probably why I'm so excited about
Yes.
Garage 56. Really. Anyway,
Yeah, that's true.
anyway, talking about
What else?
124th, you mentioned 124th. You bought some kits, but you were
Hmm.
previously getting excited about the BRM Ferrari 124th.
You mean in the pre-show chat
Yeah.
in our green room? Was I getting excited or was I just rolling my eyes slightly? I mean, I just noticed that like buses, suddenly there's three of them coming along. And not technically true because Slotted have done one, and BRM are doing the three now. They're doing Sunoco's, and to my untrained eye, the only difference between all three of them is the colour of the wing at the back, which, yeah, I could take or leave. No, I wasn't getting excited about them. I merely noted the fact that here we go, yet more Sunoco.
Okay. In which case, I apologise for even bringing it up. The thing
Nope.
that's related to 512 Ferraris in the wake, I think we can call it that, in the wake of the Slotted stroke Polycar car, is that this old Spirit models, which whilst I like and I have one, no way could I defend them being as good as the Slotted model. They're probably slower. They're not as finely engineered, all that sort of thing. They're probably not as good as scale models. So slightly deficient every way. But the used prices of those things, instead of plummeting, which you would imagine given there's a nice shiny new version available, they seem to be keeping up. And that taps into something
Really?
unscientific me scrolling on my iPad looking at eBay survey. But I think I was expecting slot car prices to plummet because there's a recession on, people having to burn small children and elderly relatives in order to stay warm. They haven't got money to spend on toy cars. So I thought, great, eBay prices are going to plummet. They don't seem to be. I mean, cars have the new stuff all took a sort of £10-12 hike last year, didn't they? The new stuff, the used stuff, is all taking seemingly a similar price hike as well. Fine.
I'm afraid I think the days of bargains on eBay have they passed away 5 or 6 years ago.
So where do you get bargains now then?
Yeah, well, you don't get bargains. Welcome to Thatcher's Britain. You don't get bargains now, do you? I mean, you might get the occasional one at a swap meet. Yeah, you do. Actually, I think that's it. The swap meets are the place to get your bargains.
Okay.
I'm not trying to encourage footfall or anything, although I'm sure it will help them. But I think that because in a podcast previous, I'm sure I mentioned picking up and being sore tempted by a relatively cheap Mercury Cougar. I think it was only 20 quid. I would be reasonably confident, he said in a way that suggests he isn't. That would have gone for more on eBay.
Okay. Oh, do you mean I'm looking in all the wrong places for my bargains? Never mind.
No, I think you're just naive.
This is very true.
A canny naive Scotsman.
Yeah, that's one thing which is definitely not a bargain was something which caught my eye, which was the Velosaur Bugatti diorama with the tent. Now, I did get it.
Tell us how much it was, Scott.
It was more than my tax return, and my which is probably just
more than your tax return and my premium bond.
Oh yeah,
combined.
yeah. I guess it probably just as well. So it removed all temptation. But it is. I mean, Velosaur. If people don't know them, please look it up on Google. You'll spend the present 20 minutes, half an hour on the website, just amazed at the quality of the modelling that they do.
Your mind will be blown.
Yeah, but this set is 5 cars in front of a kind of tent structure, which is the workshop, and it's got mechanics and tools and stuff and the dusty ground, and it looks fantastic. I think from memory it was well north of €4,000. So
caramba.
Yeah, so
£4,000. £4,000 for 5 cars,
£4,000,
which should be scared to run. And a tent, sorry, 5 cars.
Yeah, don't forget the tent. Yeah, don't forget the tent. Yeah. But it's a lovely, as I say, the joy of small things. Then those small things are definitely full of joy, and you don't even have to own them. You can just appreciate them by looking at them. Speaking of small,
it is nice to look at the modelling on their website and just the detail. And in the preamble, I did say no. Those cars, the shape, the madness of them, absolutely zero appeal. But I can look at them as models and think of the time and effort and the skill that went into them. I still think £5,000's too much, then £4,000, whatever it was.
So, how much are you willing to pay for an SRC BMW 2.8?
Take my house. I will have one. I will have many. That you're right. That is the other thing that caught my eye. They have. So I think last week there was pictures on the socials of a plain one, possibly what do they call it? A test print from the actual molding, which was, I had a little fillip of excitement, but also tempered rather, by the knowledge that they have been talking about this car since 2018. Holy mother of... That's a long time. But today, you pointed me at a picture of a painted car, and it does look mighty pretty. The 2.8. Is it a CS, a CSR, or what is it?
CS or CSL, I guess.
CSL.
I think they're saying they're going to be sort of, I think it says ready for ordering in March. I don't know whether that's deliveries in March or... But yeah,
that's close, and close to our birthdays, Scott.
Close to our birthdays. Are you fishing about something what I'd like for my birthday?
No, I'm dropping hints about what I would like for mine. Does my birthday come before your birthday?
It might.
Yeah. Okay.
Not much.
Well, I get the BMW, and you get something else.
I get whatever's left.
Yeah.
No,
I'm sure there's an SCX somewhere for you.
thank you very much. Well, there's been that long protracted development phase that you mentioned, and there's lots of good reasons for that. I'm sure they're a small company. There was a thing called the pandemic, all that good stuff. But I started off going, yeah, that'll be very nice, but I'm not going to get one of them. And then there was sort of pictures of the actual shell. I thought, yeah, it's very nice, but I'm not going to get one of them. The closer it has got, and the more I see of the thing, the more I'm going, oh yes, I think I have to get one of those. At the minute,
You are weak.
no. You're the one who said you were going to sell your house to get one. I think
Well, it's just, yeah.
my excuse at the minute is I'm going to wait for a different livery because I think there will be some better liveries.
That's I mean, that's a gift that's going to keep giving, isn't it? They can work that mold, I'm sure, for quite a while and produce some right tasty stuff, even before they move to the next version and put wings and things. The one that has been shown today, I think, is quite attractive, and I don't tend to be an early adopter of a model. I tend to wait for something better to come along. Sometimes I've regretted that when you can't get the old one that was, it turns out, on that side of things better than the later ones. I still have to SRC. I'm still a virgin with, and I think this will be the one that takes my cherry.
Okay.
Sorry, you that completely threw you, and the images were horrible, and I apologise, dear listener, if you have been affected by anything discussed in this program. Sort your life out.
Sort your life out. Well, talking about multiple use of a mold, this may lead us on to a video that we both saw. And sorry for talking about a video on a podcast, but it's by the channel is called Slaughter or Slot R.
Oh yeah,
and the chap's called Dave. Sorry, Dave, I don't know your surname. I probably should, but I'm afraid I just know you as Dave. And it was about the Escort hot rod model that Skeletric recently announced, which obviously uses the Mark II Escort body that they've done for several years and several liveries. But this one, unlike all the other rally cars, has got sort of no windows. Because it's a hot rod, it's a sort of oval racing car. Now, to me, it kind of went, okay, that's interesting. I haven't seen them do that kind of car before, except, of course, they did do many, many years ago, they did the super stock cars, didn't they?
yeah, they did. That's true.
But it's not gone down well with Dave. He's obviously a bit of a hot rod expert.
He's not happy, is he?
And he wasn't very happy.
He makes me look positively cheerful.
Well, I think he very methodically goes through all the things he doesn't like about it.
He does.
Which
itemized bullet point lists
is commended. But it comes back to, I think, something we keep visiting here, is that about how, and I think this is all slot car companies, I'll say, I won't single out Skeletric, where they get it almost all right, and it falls down to is it a scale model or is it a toy? And does it look like what it's supposed to be? And does it really matter if you put a micrometer on it and it's not quite the right width or it's not quite the right height? To me, that looks like a fun car, and if you like that car, great. If you were looking for a scale model of it, is it close enough or is it annoying? I don't know.
I looked at it and thought, when they announced it and there were just renders, I did think, yeah, not interested, not at all interested. It's an Escort. I don't like Escorts. Actually, it was white. I quite like the Mark ones. But I was completely nonplussed about it. But I thought it good that they were doing it. It's another kind of area that hasn't been catered for, and Skeletric were kind of moving in on it. And I thought, well, top marks for doing that. You won't see any of my money with it, but I'm sure you will see money from plenty of people. And I thought they had done a reasonably good job, but your mate Dave fairly pulls it apart, doesn't he? He's not a happy bunny.
He's not.
I should say, sorry, I was going to say, that guy in America who listens to us, that one guy, he will probably be going, hot rod. Guy in America, you need to watch Slaughter's video because he explains what hot rod means over here. We share a common language, and you guys have twisted it into something else. So a hot rod to you is not a hot rod to us. Pray continue if you've kept your line of thought.
No, I'm completely lost now. No, it was just an interesting. No, I'm not really. It's as you say, it's an interesting one. I wonder, and again, something we come to. Always see when they launch a car in a segment. If they launch a rally car, there's usually another rally car to play with it, or a Formula One car. There's two of them, or whatever. There's nothing else in the range that would race with that Escort at the minute. It's a kind of a one-off.
At the minute, no.
So what other moldings have they got that they could make a hot rod out of?
But do they need to? Surely, as Dave in his video points out, there are other. Escort is a common beast for going round and round and round and round and only turning left. And I can just imagine that they'll just pump out a whole load of those. So you've got like for like racing. Also, isn't there a weird Mini on steroids coming out that would race or might race against it?
Oh,
There's something in the catalogue, isn't there? I don't know what class that is.
I know the
Possibly
one you
not hot rod.
I know the one you mean, but yes, yeah, I don't know if it's hot rod. Anyway, we'll wait and see. Anyway, check out stuff.
I think Dave has a point, though. Yeah, check it out. I think he has a perfectly good point, which he labours. Hypocrisy. That they've done a odd job with it in that the attention to detail. Yes, they're a weird bunch, Scalextrics. I find them frustrating in that they seem to take massive time over getting some things right, and then they'll do something like this. Because I think he said even there's a one key decal that is completely the wrong size, completely the wrong font. It's like, well, how do you look at a photo of what you're trying to make a model of, look at what's in your hand, and go, yeah, that's the same, or are you just going, yeah, it's good enough? I don't know.
Well,
but he and his many hot rodding fans apparently are offended and apparently sending them back.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Well, on that theme, one of my purchases with my aforementioned tax return was the new team.
It's made you very happy, hasn't it? You're going to mention it all day.
Team slot, Lancia, Stratos, Alitalia, the new one in the gold box.
Peachy.
So number 2 of the kind of special, I don't know what they call it, but some sort of special series. I've got a lot of Stratos, but I wanted to always have another one. And it came beautifully wrapped in lots of bubble wrap in the box, and the box was fine. Unfortunately, although the car was securely screwed to the base in the box, the base had moved about. So the car had bashed about on top of the inside of the box. And, I thought, do I send it back? Do I not? I thought, no, it's going to take me 5 minutes to glue the spoiler back on. The roof aerials are a little bit bent, so I kind of heated that up and straightened it. So I run my cars anyway, so chances are it's going to be on its roof at one point or other when I'm running it anyway. So that was fine.
That's not what you tell me. You tell me you're a driving god.
No, very much not.
Interesting. I've been fed a lie.
Is there a sort of Chinese god of incompetence? Because that would be me. Sort of anyway. But yeah, sending things. But the reason I mention all that is sending things back. It would take quite a lot for me to send something back, I think.
When you said that, I was thinking, therein lies the rub, isn't it? With the hobbyists, it's does anyone send anything back? I mean, Dave's mates apparently do, but because we're hobbyists, we've got super glue, and we look at a thing and think, nah, it's not worth the bother, is it? Package it back up, go back down the post office, wait a few days, wait for them to acknowledge it, and then they'll say, I've got some super glue, I'll just stick it. I don't think we should, but that's just the way we are. Maybe it's because we're British.
Do you mean we sort of stoically get on with it, don't complain?
Yes, it's Dunkirk all over again. Your team slot has come upside down, and it's just like Dunkirk. It is just a metaphor for Dunkirk. However, I'm totally with you on the team slot Stratos. I don't know why. I don't think the shape is. I don't know, but I look at it and think it's just it's borderline cartoonish when I look at mine. I've got 3 now, and I love them. There's something about them. They're cars that will never make the eBay pile. They will never be fully properly raced, but they'll never make the eBay pile. Hard to say. Because I look at them and they just bring me joy. Just sitting there, going nowhere.
That's the key. They bring you joy. That's to bring you joy.
Mm-hmm.
That lets me segue into our next section beautifully.
Oh God, this is seamless, Scott. Seamless. We're on fire.
Because Formula One has returned.
Not where I thought you were going. Okay.
Apparently. And it was yesterday. We're recording this on Monday, so there was a race in Bahrain, and I think you watched it.
I did.
Meanwhile, I was on YouTube. I was also watching Formula One. I was watching the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix, the highlights of which had popped up on YouTube. And it's the one which rained a lot, and there was a big crash at the beginning and a crash at the restart, and Michael Schumacher drove into the back of David Coulthard. And
Oh, and is that the one where they decided the results after one lap?
no. This goes the full distance, and Damon wins,
Oh,
and Jordan got a 1-2.
novel
It
idea.
was great, and although I'd seen it before, and although I knew the result, I thoroughly enjoyed it. The cars were sliding about, and all the drivers were people I knew. Meanwhile, you watched the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah, where they weren't. Where was there sliding about? I'm not sure there was sliding about. Hang on, I want to go back to the '98. Somehow it was more exciting. I fear. There's a comment. Is that the one where Frentzen was closing down Mr. Hill and saying, "Can I pass him? Can I pass him?"
Schumacher, Ralph, because it would have.
Ralph.
He
Sorry.
was lapping faster. Now, again, debate here is would Ralph have been fast? Was Damon being sensible, saying, "Look, we don't take any risks. We're 1-2. The team have never
Mm.
had that. Yes, I could go faster to keep you behind, or was it? So anyway, Ralph did as he was told and stayed behind. And I've
We'll
worked with
get.
Ralph. This is becoming a feature. I've worked. I didn't.
Oh
I
God.
didn't really. He was a Toyota driver when and came to Goodwood when we were doing Goodwood. Um,
I love the way you stretch working with people.
yeah, exactly. Well,
Hell, I would too. With if it was Ralph and who was the other dude?
you name them, I've known them. The
John
John
Watson.
Watson.
John Watson. The Mercurial. John
All
Watson.
I'll say about Ralph Schumacher is
Steady, steady. We haven't got
the
solicitors.
nicest Formula One driver I ever worked with
Oh.
was Olivier Panis.
Oh. I thought you were going to say, yeah, obviously you set me up and the audience,
Yeah.
that poor soul in America. So what I will say before I go on about Bahrain is suddenly as there was talk of was that Bitten and Hisses style Jordan F1s, I think it was.
It was.
That's an era I think I could buy into. The F1 cars were still distinctive shapes, and yeah, I could buy into that if NSR or Scalauto or anyone else want to
Well,
revisit those.
you don't need to. I've got the Ninko Jordan. I've also got the Skeletrix one. That livery on them.
I had the Ninko one. If it isn't in the eBay pile, that's because it's gone to eBay. I suspect it's gone to eBay.
I mean, those are.
It wasn't a bad model, was it? NC2 motor.
They were nice. This front wheel steering, they handled pretty well, and they were good.
Why is it with F1s the manufacturers feel the need to front wheel steer?
Because you can see them.
Okay, next.
Because they stick out. And how difficult can it be? Because the 1960s Formula Junior type cars,
Yeah, they all
had steering. I mean, it was pretty hopeless and they didn't go around very well. But so yeah.
Now we didn't mention that. Sorry, jumping in. We didn't mention that in the preamble, but your mate Johnny down on the south coast is doing 3D prints for those old cigar-shaped cars that leave me cold. And you, I thought, were borderline excited.
I think anything that I think those cars. Again, I always use the word charm. I think they have a lot of charm because I remember them when I was a kid. Getting them to run is not the easiest thing in the world, in my book. So getting them to sort of handle a bit better would probably be no bad thing. Hopefully, not putting some mental motor in them because, apart from anything else, at scale speeds, these things didn't go that fast. Which is why I referred to real Formula One as full size magnet traction. To my mind, it's the only class of slot car in which a magnet makes sense because the Formula One car does a modern Formula One car does look like that.
Yeah, although Fernando's, look at that, bringing it wrapped round again. It's like we're professionals. Fernando had a good old dab of Oppo coming out of one of the corners when he was chasing with Lewis, I believe. Yesterday, you missed it. It's worth possibly looking for that on YouTube. I think he passes him, expects a counter attack coming out of the corner, so puts his right foot down, and a little bit of Oppo required, and past goes Lewis. I may be remembering it completely wrong, but certainly there was a brief. That was, I think, the one burst of opposite lock that we had in the Bahrain Grand Prix. It wasn't the most exciting race. I think Mercedes brought the excitement because both Russell and Lewis had good little dices that I think the camera showed over drone type footage of them going through a sequence of curves and chasing people or being chased, and that was exciting, and that was the excitement of the Bahraini Grand Prix. It wasn't a stellar one, wasn't bad result.
So there was
Sorry,
so so
we don't have a Dutch listener, do we?
so there was
So I
one
don't care.
one oversteering moment. That's the
One
highlight.
oversteering moment, yeah, and that'll do for the season.
This is why I don't. When I say I don't watch Formula One anymore, I do occasionally because it's very difficult to give up. But really, it's they need to make this.
I have a friend. I have another friend. You won't believe it, but I do.
Yeah,
I can claim. I'll even bring a photo of him next time. And he maintains, and he knows who he is because he does listen. And he maintains he's got no interest, no truck with Formula One, and hasn't had for a wee while because it's just too boring. And I kind of see where he's coming from, but is it the only motor racing really on British telly? I mean, there must be BTCC, CCC, but that's just bumper cars.
Ooh,
Jason Plato ignoring track limits.
ooh,
Yeah, okay, move on.
good.
I enjoyed. I think yesterday's result, first and second place, whatever. But Fernando, what is he? 41 years old, fighting his way up to third place, top marks. I've always liked Fernando. Always have, always will. I know, probably like all F1 drivers, he can be a bit of a douche, but I think I just love the fact that he got there. And then he said something funny as he went past one of them. I think he overtook a Mercedes and just went bye bye.
I always found him difficult to warm to, and then there was that time when he tried blackmailing Ron Dennis over the Ferrari
Top
gate,
marks.
and I think what an
Although
absolute.
it backfired.
Well, I mean,
Well, that
anyway,
did, didn't it?
that's not a good. That's not a good look. Um,
It was something like 100+ Grand Prix he's done without touching the podium, which I thought was interesting. He has made some bad choices. Let's put it that way.
he's been
But
around.
now I think with Lance and Lance's dad, he's well, certainly on the data provided by one Grand Prix out of 23 odd this year, he's done well. And I loved Lance Stroll. I saw an interview with Lance Stroll, who was being very smiley and very happy for Alonso, and all the time thinking, God damn it, my dad bought this company, my dad bought this car, my dad bought me everything, and this Spaniard has just drifted in and near enough won a race. And he didn't do it in that accent. Because I can't. What is he? Canadian? I can't.
No, he will
I
forever.
can't offend the Canadian listener.
He will forever sound like that in my head. A sort of slightly wheezy Muttley. That's fantastic.
Sorry, let me clear my throat.
Anyway, we will. I think we'll return to F1 actually because I think there's a lot to be said for with slot cars. I don't mean the real size one, but I think the magic.
Oh no, I'll drag that back.
The fairy dust of Formula One. I think we need to revisit with the slot one. But the other thing which caught my eye this week was that Truspeed controllers are available through Pendle. Other slot providers are available, but now I recently had to replace one of my Polycar controllers, and I was saying, "What should I? Should I get?" And people said, "Oh, get one of these, and we're all like 60, 70 quid, whereas to replace my Polycar controller was a tenner or something. And so that's what I did, but I got a tax return. Have I mentioned I got a tax return? I got a tax.
No,
I got
really?
a tax, yeah. And
hang on. So that's a return of taxes that you have paid returned to you. So you basically have some money in your hand.
I have money in my hand. Well, nobody has money in their hand anymore. It's all virtual.
Why did you keep that secret?
Sorry,
I should have told us about that earlier.
It's the highlight of my week. Anyway, it means I've got money to. I'm going to use the word spend, not waste. Spend on things like fancy controllers. But I had a quick look and I got really scared. There was one was like 200 odd quid. And I thought, my God, no. And they've got knobs on and all that. So take you do this sort of thing. What?
Hang on.
Uh-huh.
Let me just check this. This is pertinent for one dear listener. He
Uh-huh.
knows who he is. Would you say they have knobs on, Scott, or do they have dials? Is it knobs or is it dials?
They're knobs because you hold them between your fingers and turn them, so like a radio on-off knob or an on-off. They're not a dial. A dial is something you can read out of a
Okay,
needle.
it suits my argument if you could just say they're both the same thing, knobs and dials, please.
Okay,
Both the
that's
same thing.
okay. For the purposes of argument, let's say they're the same thing, even though they're not.
Damn.
You'll edit that out.
Sorry, they do have multiple knobs and dials. I restricted myself to 2 knobs. This is going to go horribly wrong. You know, earlier you said that I had accidentally ticked a box on one of the podcast hosts that said our show was explicit. Let's not go there, Scott. Let's keep it clean with the knob talk.
Oh, it's always good to keep your knob clean, that's for sure. Anyway,
Oh, Scott.
well, I mean, you get oil deposits and tire deposits. You've got to be careful.
How you get tire deposits on your controllers? Oh, maybe you're not. Whatever. Anyhow, which one are you going for?
Well, I don't know. That's the question. It's sort of having thought, oh, maybe I'll get one of these. I think, well, which one do I get? I don't know.
Well, I have a little experience here. As I said in the preamble, I did once upon a time have a slotted SCP, whatever it is, controller. At least 3 knobs, possibly a dial, some kind of switching as well. Way too complicated for a bear of very little brain like me. So I sold it after a short period of trying to fight the darned thing. I believe they're easier to understand now, or they come with better instructions or something, whatever. I stuck with my Palmers for a while. I had some issues getting spares, and so I went with Truspeed, and I think I've got their bog standard, cheap and cheerful. It is digital. It's got 2 knobs on it, and it's a joy to use, as is the company. Shout out to Truspeed, forgotten the name of the dude. Very, very helpful by email. And repaired, he says, I managed to break it in a way that he'd never seen one break before. Hey, crash test dummy me. And so I sent it back to him, and he wouldn't take money. I said it probably was within the year, maybe. And I said, I'm quite happy. I'm happy with the product. I'm happy to pay for a repair. I don't think it was going to be massive, but I'm happy to pay for a repair. And he wouldn't take return postage either. So and it is repaired, and it's a joy.
Okay.
A deep joy. I would suggest just buy the basic one. You will be impressed.
Now, you said the word digital, though, but I don't run digital. Or is that not the kind of
No,
digital
you don't
mean?
have to. Well, hang on. Have I got my wires crossed again?
I hope not, because you'll be going backwards.
Oh no! Oh, don't start. It's quite amusing at the club. Whenever I've played with the car at home, get to the track, put it on, and it goes backwards. There's always people rolling their eyes, and whatever. I'm used to it. No, I believe they are called digital controllers because they don't have a resistor in them. The resistance is done digitally. Have I just completely misunderstood the concept again?
Well, I don't know. You're the one that's got one, but so
It doesn't mean I know anything.
well, it sort of widens because I looked at the list of what was available, and there was a few of them said digital, and I thought, well, I don't need to consider them then, because I don't run digital, but maybe I do.
Well, I will check what I have got. I can't get to it without making a lot of noise where I'm at the moment. But I think
Because
that is purely the way it operates rather than, lane changing tomfoolery, which, as we all know, is the work of Satan.
okay, I was going to say we could insert the sort of Benny Hill music here while you go and look for your controller. That would be.
Oh, yeah, I forget that we could do that kind of editing.
Probably would fall foul
No.
of all sorts of copyright anyway. Well,
Yeah.
I'm willing. I'm on the cusp. I'm on the verge. I'm in danger of buying a controller with knobs on, and my fear
I'm
is that
going
I'll
to
just
say,
go, I won't know what to do with it.
I will tell you now. If you get one, you will never go back. You will just hang on. Do you run brakes at your track?
No. Well, you say my
Ah,
track on my track at home.
Yeah,
It depends which. I mean, the Polycar doesn't have brakes. I don't think.
they're not. Oh,
The Carrera does.
well, I
Doesn't
don't know if you'll. I don't know if you'll see such a stellar difference, but I was just blown away by how much smoother the better control I had through a corner. I mean, obviously, I went giddy with it and fell off, but um, the controllers just even things out and make it almost reinvented the hobby, almost,
That's quite a
or my
claim.
appreciation of it. It's an extraordinary thing, yeah.
That is
And
quite
then,
a
of
claim.
course, you get the joy of playing with the knobs and setting things incorrectly and making a mess of things.
I hope everybody noticed I didn't pick up on that opportunity
Yeah,
there.
well done, you.
But
So you
that's
can do it if
I,
you actually try.
if I can. Okay then. So I think I'll probably will take a leap and get one. And the reason for applying now, because truth, I didn't realize they were made in Britain. If I'm honest. And does that make a difference? Yes, it does. Why not? Let's support local
Oh, well,
businesses.
come on, yeah, wave a flag. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So, but you've given me a good recommendation, even though you can't remember what you've got or how it
What it
works.
is I've got. I don't know. This house I'm in at the moment, I'm not sure it's mine, is it? Do I live here?
I was just trying. I was just trying to think of the Trust Pilot review. Why? I don't know what. I don't know what I bought. Yeah, actually, there's probably quite a lot of them like that, aren't they? Well, it won't arrive in time. Well, I'm saying that. You never know. It won't arrive in time for me to my next outing going racing. If I told you I'm going racing again, clubbing. On
You did tell me,
did I,
but where are you going? Well, it's down the road, wouldn't it?
down the road,
Is that
very
right?
very local, a club in the village called Ifold, which is about 6 miles away from me. And I think it's been there for some time, and it's bizarre that I think I probably did know about it, but then because I wasn't really going out racing or anything, I kind of forgot. Anyway, I've rediscovered it, a bit like discovering Australia. It was there all the time, but somebody rediscovered it, and I'm going to go. And I don't really understand how it works. They do a sort of handicapping system. Hopefully that means sort of certain laps rather than they take you out the back and make your knees articulate the wrong way. But so I'll report back how I get on. I mean, we can tell how I'm going to go on. It's going to be moderately badly, but that's not the point of going. It's to meet people, to try new tracks, and all that sort of thing. So I'll let you know. But I don't think I can get a new controller in time.
Have you actually spoken to them? I say that because I think I said to you I don't want to queer your pitch, but I thought they sounded slightly sniffy in that it's like invite only. Oh, by the way, we only race 50s and 60s cars or something.
Which sounds
Is that
good.
it?
Sounds good to me. No, I
I
have
don't
been.
think
I
I've
have
got any
been.
50s
I have been in
or 50s.
contact. I've been in contact with someone, and they've been very welcoming. So, but I
Oh, you
haven't.
said that. You did
Yes,
say that when
yeah.
I said, are they a bit sniffy?
Yes. I don't. I don't think they've been sniffing. Well, they may be. They may be. Busily saying, "My God, we've avoided him all these years, and he's found us again." I don't know, but
that bloody Scotsman from down the road, he's threatening to come down.
but I don't think so. I don't think so. But so I'm looking forward to
So,
that.
do you know what you'll be racing on? Scalextrics, Ninko, Polycar, Carrera, Wood.
Pa
I
pa
can't
pa
read.
pa 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 pass. I don't know.
Okay,
So I don't know.
it's not digital; it's analog racing.
I believe so.
Is
You're
it crash and burn? Do
uh,
they use brakes? Come on, Scott, have you done your research?
no, because that's sense of discovery and all that sort of thing. But also, it doesn't matter because it's not like I'm going to go. The running Carrera track. I'm not going. I mean, that's not the point, is it? So,
No, 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 no. Just simply, I don't know, to fill some time on the podcast, just pad it out a bit. And genuine curiosity. I wondered what. Yeah. Okay. So in my head, when I read the thing and obviously focused on the wrong thing, but they were slightly sniffy and running 50s, 60s cars, I just thought, that's going to be routed wood.
that's.
These are diehard enthusiasts. This is going to be routed wood and brass chassis.
Oh, I don't know. I think they're out of the box type things from the.
Oh,
So
okay.
so I've been sent a list of all the cars which have been running, and they're sort of all the things that people have already run. Therefore, pick from this list kind of thing. So it's all out the box things, and I'm sure, like everywhere, people have prepped them and to varying degrees. That's fine.
Uh,
I
are
will.
you
I
going to
will.
read?
No, I'll
Are you
just
going to read the list?
no. I will think of a few things. My tactic, and that's a really overstated
Ooh.
word for what I do with these things. is take the car which is easiest to drive that I'm least worried about getting broken, because it's a new track. You wouldn't, the chances. The key thing is to stay in the slot for as long as possible. So that means not
Oh,
driving.
you've worked it out.
Yeah, I've worked it out.
That's you've got it sussed.
So something which handles nicely, is very forgiving, all that sort of thing. So that'll be really my key criteria. But I haven't thought about what but I've got quite a lot of 50, 60 stuff, so it shouldn't be too bad. But I think one of the things I did pick up on is you could race, and I maybe got this wrong. We'll find out when I go along, because it's a handicapping system. They don't, you could have a front-mounted motor Hornby car which goes at a certain speed, or you could have a sidewinder or something else, and the handicapping system will take care of that, so you can compete with those two cars at the one time. Now that's not
Or
another.
Scott,
Mm-hmm.
or, and I'm mindful of the time here, but I thought you were setting me up to introduce your thing about that 50s car that you discovered. The motor. Offset.
Oh, well, that
Dementia.
dementia. It's a terrible thing, isn't it?
Dementia. Terrible thing. Yeah.
So some of the stuff I bought from eBay was a D-type Jag. Great, and I remembered, I've got a set of these somewhere, so I dug out, and it's the Le Mans 55 set from Skeletric. Another D-type Jag, which I got out of the box, took the magnet out, took it apart, and there was an SLR Mercedes. Again, took that apart to get the magnet out, and I discovered the motor is not only front-mounted, but it's offset to the left. So it's basically the driver's lower legs and feet. That's where the motor is, which I couldn't really understand, other than it leaves a little bit more space for a passenger footwell. But that was bemusing, because when you put the body on, you can't see the passenger side at all because it's covered by a tonneau. Looking at the range, they did one version, I think, which was two people, the famous Stirling Moss Jenks one.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that must be to show that off. So I've been, inevitably, that became an eBay quest. None found so far. So I can only assume it's to accommodate Jenks's little feet and his map and all that sort of stuff. But it seemed extraordinary.
So what was the eBay search? Why did you discover
I got
space for Jenks's feet and then think, I must go to eBay?
I must go.
What were you looking for?
Well, one of the cars, because the car I've got has just got the driver in, and it's got a tonneau cover.
I'm with you.
So I wanted to find one that had got a little Jenks in it, because it now seems like a question needs answered. But I suspect they're unobtainable because of history and money and all that sort of thing.
I'm not familiar with that model, but I'm going to assume it's quite pretty.
It is quite pretty, and the detail on the drivers is nice. One of the other things about that model, that model, they do the closed coupe version, the Uhlenholt, of which there were only two in reality, and it never raced. But Skeletric made a model of it. And I was speculating last week, was this the most unused? So they had to make a moulding to make the top of this car. And I guess it's the same chassis, but the top of the car. Was this the most kind of obscure one-off? And another listener, and also a friend, another friend, pointed out that SCX made just one livery of a Fiesta rally car, the sort of slightly wide-bodied one, but also, as far as I can work out, just one livery of the Alpha Super Touring car, which was also done by Fly, but as far as we know, SCX made just one livery of it.
I think it's in my eBay box to be sold, that SCX Alpha. It's a pretty wee thing, but I distinctly recall at the time thinking, oh, great, they've made this. There'll be some nice reliveries of it. But you possibly are right. There were none.
So it's a kind of ongoing quest. What are the most, well, not obscure, because I think obscure, you would probably say some resin hand-built thing, but what's the most kind of mainstream, but oddly only one version of? And it sort of begs the question, why did it get made? Why didn't they make other ones? It's all fascinating stuff. Perhaps.
You say that, but I nearly fell asleep.
Okay. Well, that's because you're old. But anyway.
And in a stranger's house. I don't know where I am.
It's probably.
Guess what we've got to do, Scott?
It's probably time to say that's all we have time for this week. Next time on Talking Utter Slot, frustrated at friends and relatives not giving us what we really want as birthday gifts, we're going to be revealing what models we'd make, which models we'd make, the models we'd make if we ran our own slot car company.
And are we to buy ourselves a birthday present? Because my birthday's next Monday, and I'm thinking, should I be buying myself a present? And if I
Always.
do, I'll discuss it with you.
I am a great believer in self gratification. I'll leave it at that.
Trouble is, my one-to-one's in the garage at the moment, and that's going to cost a penny.
Well,
Whatever.
yeah, well, just
Yeah. Well.
you're only whatever age you're going to be once.
Yes.
Anyway,
And on that bombshell.
on that bombshell. Thank you for listening. If you can't bear to miss another episode, you can subscribe in all the usual ways via your podcast platform of choice. Thanks and goodbye.
Cheerio, Scott. Okay, now you can say something and I can use it in an outtake.
There's not stuff we can take out of that anyway, I don't think.
No. Damn.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording.
All the
What happens when I stop recording?
all the
Does it all...
all the knob stuff. I don't know.
And a reference to Benny Hill, carry on the whole gamut of British seaside comedy. I'm going to press stop recording, and I do not know what will happen.
Well,
So maybe speak to you in a